Hello everyone. Today we are going to review the fourth movie in the Pirates of the Caribbean series. Now unfortunately I don't have the actual case for it. It is in the Secretariat case because I believe the movie came with a DVD/Blu-ray copy, so I took the Blu-ray copy out of the DVD one from my dad's and put it into this case. But I think I might actually try to go and find the case there. I should have looked for it the last time I was there, but I believe that's where it is anyway, the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, so I might look for that case when I'm down there next, and then I'll have the copies of both movies, DVD and Blu-ray copies. So, this movie, I did enjoy it. I don't know what's going on with the camera angle here. It seems a little weird. Does that seem better? I think that's better. So where was I? Yeah, I did enjoy this more than the third movie. So where did this... I'm trying to remember the very beginning for whatever reason. Because I did watch this over 2 days and I had a little bit of a longer snooze than I thought I was going to between watching it. But this one starts out pretty much... oh yeah, right, in London. That was where we started. That's better, isn't it? We started out in London. What was Jack trying to do? Well, I guess he was chasing after the Black Pearl. That was it. That was where we left off at the end of the third one. So yeah, he is chasing after the Black Pearl, and he's obviously looking for the Fountain of Youth so that he can gain eternal life. And Barbossa now works for the British, although we do find out later on in the movie that it was only for his own personal gain, because he tells Jack at the beginning of the movie that the Black Pearl was sunk, which was in some way, I guess, the truth. So obviously he is after the chalices too. Gibb ends up working for the British again, and Ian McShane was the one who played Blackbeard in this movie, and I thought that was actually a really good. It was a really good casting choice for him to play Blackbeard because he does the evil. It's weird. You almost are rooting for him in a way, even though he's so evil. He just has that demeanor about him, no matter what kind of character he plays. And I believe he was in... I'm pretty sure he was in all the Hellboy movies, even right back to the Ron Perlman ones. I can't remember whether he was in the older ones or not. It's hard to remember whether he was now. I'd have to go back and watch those again just to see if he actually was in the older Hellboy movies. But anyhow, not really important to talk about Hellboy right now, is it? So, now Jack has to... He basically becomes a prisoner of Blackbeard. And I'm trying to remember Penelope Cruz's character, what her name was. Just give me a second. I'm going to go look that up. Okay. Oh, Angelica. Haha, I just remembered it without even having to say it. Yeah, so they meet up, and obviously by this time Norrington is dead, Beckett's dead, so they don't have to worry about them anymore. Basically, I would say that Blackbeard is the main enemy in this, and they have this religious man on the boat. I can't remember his name, but so in order to make the chalices work, you have to have a mermaid's tear, and obviously the chalices, and the water from the Fountain of Youth, and one cup holds the tear, and the other cup doesn't, and one cup gives life, and the other one takes life away. So the Spaniards are after it as well, and Barbossa kind of works with the Spaniards, I guess, and brings them up to the Fountain of Youth as well, because he wants to kill Blackbeard. The Spaniards don't want anybody to have eternal life, so they throw the cups into the water, thinking that I guess that will stop it, but then Barbossa kills Blackbeard, and Angelica slices her hand on the sword as well when she's trying to take it out of Blackbeard's heart, because turns out even though Jack thought she was lying about Blackbeard being her father, turns out it was true, so she lied to him by telling the truth, which is kind of ironic. Because obviously that seems like a very unbelievable thing, right? Because I guess she was very deceitful as well. So, and her and Jack had a history. Jack tries to warn Blackbeard about him, or about her, but to no avail, because he actually truly does believe that that's his daughter, even though I guess it turns out that it was true. So there you go. So Jack is trying to basically stay alive the entire time. Oh yeah, and the religious guy's name was Philip, and was Philip, yeah. Okay, before I get into anything else. So Jack's trying to stay alive the entire time, and when they're on the ship with Blackbeard, he sees how overwhelming Blackbeard's powers are, because he can control the whole ship. And he can control the whole ship. At one point, he actually ties up part of the crew when they try to perform a mutiny on the ship to overtake it. Obviously, that does not work out so well for the rest of the crew. And Blackbeard is able to just, take one person off of the ship. And he obviously has cannons on the ship, but he has this thing on the front of the ship that literally, it's a giant flamethrower, essentially, that just shoots a huge ball of flames out the front of the ship, which was actually kind of cool, and totally just disintegrates the guy on the little rowboat. That was the one who just, I guess, kept watch, or how did they word that exactly? Yeah, it was kind of a weird... I can't remember how exactly they worded it, but Blackbeard picked him to be killed as an example for whatever his crime was, or whatever he had done during the mutiny that he probably shouldn't have done. So now Jack is just trying to stay alive the entire time and not have Blackbeard kill him through voodoo. And I guess some of the crewmates on Blackbeard's ship are zombified, so I'm not sure whether they can die or they just don't feel pain, because one of them does get stabbed at one point and just kind of rips the sword out of himself and carries on about his day like nothing ever happened to him. So yeah, I wasn't really sure whether they were dead or they just couldn't feel pain. Not really entirely sure on that, but his quartermaster is one of them. And obviously, I guess you would want somebody to just do your bidding and, not have any fear of death, I suppose. So, at one point, when Jack is leading them to the Fountain of Youth, even though he absolutely has no idea where it is, that's very evident after this scene. The quartermaster just takes the voodoo doll and throws it over the cliff into the water, and then says to Jack, "Now you won't die." Because they're going to make Jack jump, and Blackbeard says that if he doesn't jump, he'll kill Angelica. He tells the quartermaster to give him 6 pistols, 2 with a bullet in them, and 4 without, but don't tell him which 2 have the bullet in them. So, he does point one at Angelica and fire it, but it doesn't have a bullet, and then the one that Jack picks up next does, and he shoots it off the other direction, so it was actually kind of funny, because he's like, oh, it's not even loaded, and then turns out, nope, that gun was definitely loaded. So, Jack ends up finding Barbossa on, I believe it was the chest that they were looking for that had the chalices in it, but by the time Barbossa and Jack had gotten to it, the Spaniards had already taken the cups, so they have to go and try to steal the cups from the Spaniards, which they are successful in, and then they end up getting back to Blackbeard, but obviously Jack makes his demands now because he holds the power, because he has the chalices. So then as he's leading them to them, they get into this cave, and he dings the cups together, thinking that's going to open some sort of door, and then Angelica asks him if he's ever actually seen the Fountain of Youth for himself, and he says, "Can you repeat the question?" And it's at this point that we clearly know that Jack has just been kind of worming his way through like he normally does, hoping that everything will just work out for him. And then when he gets fired at by Blackbeard's quartermaster, he turns the cups and goes, "Oh, hold on a second," and then says the phrase in the cups, and the water goes up to the ceiling of the cave and opens up a portal to the Fountain of Youth. And this is the scene where Barbossa is able... He's already there. Barbossa's already there somehow. And Jack then goes through the portal, and then this is the scene where Blackbeard is killed, and then Jack has to fill the two chalices. And obviously we know that if you've seen these movies before, you would know that Jack is clearly lying about which cup has the tear and which cup doesn't. Because right when he turns around, he goes, "Oh, wait, maybe it was the other way around," because he knew Blackbeard would pick the cup with the tear in it if he told him that that was the one with the tear in it. And so Blackbeard picked the cup that he thought had the tear in it, which turns out it was the other way around. Jack had switched them, which is why Jack is probably the smartest pirate in the entire of the Caribbean. So, as all this is going on, I guess Philip and the one mermaid that they had to capture, and that was probably the freakiest scene in the entire movie, because the mermaids look beautiful above water, but then when they pull you back into the water, it's almost like they turn into like some sort of like weird vampire slash fish type creatures. It's really odd. And then they just drag you down to the bottom of the ocean as you drown to death. So it's not really the most they're not really the nicest creatures in the world, that's for sure, but they are able to capture one, and Philip names her Serena, and then they fall in love. And I'm not really sure at the end of the movie, because, or near the end of the movie, when he asks for forgiveness from her, she does pull him down into the water, so I'm not really sure whether what she was doing there, whether she was drowning him, or whether she was going to turn him into a mermaid himself. Yeah, I'm not really sure how that was going to go, but because I don't think he's in any of the other movies, so she must have just killed him, and that was her way of forgiving him. I don't know, that's kind of odd, huh? I guess I'll have to see if he's actually in any of the other movies or not. Obviously after this one, because this was the first one he was ever in, I believe. So, the ending scene where Blackbeard dies almost is reminiscent of the first Indiana Jones movie, if you've ever seen that, because the water tornadoes around him and like peels his skin off and stuff, and that's kind of what happens to the... can't remember, were they German or Russian? My God, it's been so long. I think it was the Germans in the... Yeah, it was the Germans in the first Indiana Jones movie, that... It was kind of, I guess it was kind of similar. It wasn't the Fountain of Youth. What was it that they were after? Something that was supposed to grant eternal life, I think, but then it ends up just killing them all. Yeah, so it just rips the skin off, turns him into a skeleton, and then Jack leaves Angelica on this island, just like Barbossa did to him so many years ago, and because Barbossa killed Blackbeard, he takes over Blackbeard's ship. And then when it shows Jack after he drops off Angelica at this other island, he does give her a pistol with one shot, which she chooses to use on him, so now she's just stuck on this island without a pistol with any shot whatsoever, because she totally misses Jack, which was funny. And I doubt there's any food sources on that island, so she'd definitely have to go fishing if she wanted to catch anything for food. So then he meets up with Gib on the island, and Gib has taken the Black Pearl off of Blackbeard's ship, as well as all the other ships, apparently. So they've got a whole fleet of ships with them now. And, so then they kind of stroll off into the sunset, and then it rolls the credits, and at the very end, after the credits, there's this end credit scene, where the voodoo doll rolls up onto the island that Angelica's on, so obviously she will have some sort of control over Jack in the next movie. Or at least that's what I would think happens. I kind of forget. This one was like almost watching it again for the first time, because this is one of those ones that I hadn't seen. I think this is only the second time I've seen this one. I think I've watched the first two multiple times, and then after that it kind of just Yeah, I don't know why I never revisited these ones, because this one was good, but oh, as and always, I have to do my rating. So I would give this one an 8.5 out of 10. It still doesn't top the first and the second one. Those ones will just always be so much better, but it was better than the third one, I thought. Just the introduction of Blackbeard, I really liked that casting choice and that character. He's obviously one of the more famous pirates or infamous pirates, whichever way you look at it, I guess. Obviously, of that time, if you follow that sort of history, and I think this has kind of made me want to go and do the Black Sails series as well. And I think I'll put these movies in the October section because they do have horror elements. I'm not sure. I might just add Black Sails into that just because it's going to kind of follow the same sort of idea. But I am going to finish Jessica Jones first before I do anything else, because I do want to finish that series to hopefully get it in August, as well as Luke Cage and all the other Marvel shows on Netflix. I got to continue those as well. So, as always, like, share, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. If not, definitely go watch the movie before watching the review, unless you want to see the review beforehand to get some sort of insight on the movie. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.